We are going to be camped out here just steps from the Iowa State Capitol through caucus night. This is called the Microsoft Media Center, and what this is essentially is the place to be, the central location where journalists from around the world have gathered to tell the story of the Iowa caucus. This will also be the place for the latest election results, as well as reaction from the parties and analysis, and Levi and I will be bringing it all to you. And we are finding that same message from Cerro Gordo County GOP Chairwoman Barb Hovland, who agrees that bipartisanship is really essential when it comes to keeping Iowa first in the nation. One other step that she's taking to make sure things go as planned is, separately from all the other chairs in the 98 other counties, what she plans to do is work with the county auditor and, in a sense, treat this more like a regular election night. Now, while we have you here, we want to just take a moment to show you what's been set up for everybody who's going to be reporting on the caucuses. Down below, you see where reporters are gathered. This, where we're standing, is a dedicated location just for KIMT, so that whenever anything happens, when we have a report to tell you, we don't have to scramble to find a place to go. Welcome back to Des Moines. Normally during this segment we analyze the status of the presidential race from the KIMT studios, but because of our Iowa caucus coverage in Des Moines, we're going to be doing it from ground zero this week. One thing our political analyst Dr. Eric Shores really wants to stress this week is that regardless of where the candidates wind up after the voting is all done tomorrow night, what they're really looking for is to catch that wave of support. Of course, it's all speculation until Iowans have their say tomorrow night. We will be bringing it to you as it all unfolds from here in Des Moines and in North Iowa. Raquel's up next with more Eye on Politics after this.
We begin in Des Moines this morning with KIMT News 3's Matt Bradley. Good morning, Matt.
Well, good morning, Tyler. You mentioned the Super Bowl. It really feels more like the day before the Super Bowl right here in the media center right now. That is all going to change very quickly, though. This is going to be a very busy place because this has become an event, the caucuses, of worldwide importance. Turn to my right, I see places for stations elsewhere in Iowa. A reporter from Washington, D.C. I turn to my left, I see reporters from the BBC, Al Jazeera, Eurovision. It shows how much of an impact this event really has. And so if you're ever wondering why candidates spend so much time in Iowa leading up to the caucuses, it's not only because the caucuses can make or break their campaign, it's because this has worldwide interest. Now, one thing that both parties in Iowa agree to is that they want this to go well. They want this to go as smoothly as possible. They don't want any hiccups, and they don't want any reason to cost this Iowa's first in the nation honor. And if you think back to 2012, something unforeseen did happen. Things got very tight there at the end, and we didn't really know who even won in Iowa until days later. They are trying to find ways, organizers are, to avoid that happening again, and one way they're doing that is through an app that has been developed by Microsoft. I'm going to try to show this to you. All of the county chairs in all 99 of Iowa's counties have access to this app, and what they're going to do is it's a one-button process. They just log in, they send their vote totals. That's supposed to make this process tonight go faster. It's supposed to be more secure and, above all, more accurate. But, of course, we won't know how it works until they put it to the test tonight. Well, one good way to describe the feeling at the media center is the calm before the storm. And we're not even really talking about the blizzard that's on its way. Although I can't tell you that's definitely a number 2 topic of conversation here. But, of course, the number 1 topic of conversation, it is caucus day. I spoke with a political analyst from Florida who has come to Iowa because she's studied this process extensively for decades, but never seen it up close. Susan McManus is a political science professor and published author on politics, says the thing to watch tonight, voter turnout. One thing she also says to watch is the female vote. They tend to vote in higher numbers on nights like this, and at least according to what she's seeing, they are not going as strongly for Donald Trump, which suggests his poll numbers may be inflated just a bit. Of course, we won't know for sure until the results start coming in. We'll get a bit more analysis from Susan later tonight. One thing you're definitely going to want to hear from her is why she thinks Iowa could fairly easily lose its first in the nation designation. The Bernie Sanders campaign expressed a little bit of skepticism about using an app developed by Microsoft for this important use tonight, and said there might be a question of impartiality there, so they're introducing their own vote counting method as a counterbalance to double check the numbers. I did speak with the representatives from both the Iowa Republican and Democratic parties, and they said that this app is absolutely trustworthy. They would never do anything that would jeopardize Iowa's first in the nation position. Well, this is where the cameras are. This is where the journalists have gathered, but the Iowa caucus is really a local event. It happens in each of the states states, 99 counties, and it's really designed to bring neighbors together so that they can decide as a group who they think best represents them. Then on the Republican side, we were expecting a tight race between Ted Cruz and Donald Trump. That's exactly what we saw. But right behind me right now, the head of the Iowa Republican Party has officially declared Ted Cruz the winner of the Iowa Caucuses. So a tremendous night for Ted Cruz and his entire campaign. Also impactful tonight, though, the middle of the pack. Martin O'Malley has dropped out. Mike Huckabee has dropped out. Marco Rubio is proving to be a very strong contender with a very strong third-place finish tonight and well ahead of Jeb Bush. I was speaking with our political analyst, Dr. Eric Shores, who said that Jeb Bush's all-out assault on Marco Rubio in recent weeks appears to have failed miserably. Another very big story tonight is turnout at caucus locations, and that's one our Levi Ismail was noticing on the streets of Des Moines today. So where do we go from here? Well, it's off to New Hampshire. We know that Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton will continue to duke it out in the early primary states. Earlier this evening, a political analyst told us that on the Republican side, you really wanted to finish in the top 5 to have any relevance in this. Rick Santorum does not appear to be in the top 5, but he is not dropping out. In fact, tonight he released a statement saying that he is spending this next week in South Carolina. That would mean he's skipping New Hampshire, and it appears going all in the South. We will be back in Trending at 10, but for now, I'll send it back to Amy in the studio. It was much the same here at the Media Center. Journalists from all over the world had their eyes glued on that screen behind me, watching the results come in, watching Hillary Clinton take a small lead over Bernie Sanders, then watching Ted Cruz overtake Donald Trump to eventually then win the Iowa caucus. And let's take another look, or a closer look rather, at some of the North Iowa counties and see how the votes have been shaping up there. Hillary Clinton did very well in our area, nearly doubling Sanders' support in some counties. And in those that Sanders won, it really wasn't by much, except in Howard County. Sanders beat Clinton by around 10% there. Ted Cruz found heavy support in North Iowa. Hancock County, he bested Trump 45 to 18%. Trump did eke out a victory in Howard County. All in all, very interesting night. Much to analyze in the coming days, but we are going to wrap up our 2 days of coverage in Des Moines at Capitol Square. For Levi Ismail, I'm Matt Bradley, KIMT News 3.